I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, but Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel has been giving more movies rather than mysteries. Hey mystery enthusiast, I'm Candra and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the new mystery, True Justice Family Ties. Rethink the format of these because I've watched a couple of some of the ones that I created last year, and it was just like a random ramble fest, and so I wanted to add more structure. So you'll see as we continue on today, there'll be a lot more structure and it won't be me rambling. I mean, unless you love me rambling, which of course I'm going to do at some point in time, but I'm trying to give this more structure. So that's why it's been a while. So let's get into it. So before we get into all of the things or the spoilers, I wanted to get to the synopsis and some of the gritty details about the movie. So True Justice Family Ties is set in Philadelphia, and here is the official synopsis. A law school student, with the help of her friends, set out to prove her brother was wrongfully convicted. The only way to clear his name is to find the real killer, but the closer they get, the more danger they get in. So when we think about a Hallmark movie and mystery movie formula, we think that there's going to be some mystery, some murder, and some sort of heartwarming element to the series, or to the show. And so I think when it comes to this particular movie, True Justice Family Ties, it definitely stuck to that formula. We see law school students coming together with their nemesis to solve a crime. We see the main character, Casey, looking to save her brother from being wrongfully convicted in the criminal legal system. And of course, there's always love to be found. Always some inkling of somebody trying to get with somebody else. And so we see two potential relationships coming through with Casey and Eli potentially, as well as Sarah and Liam. And so while this movie did keep me guessing, by the fourth commercial break, I pretty much knew who, what, when, and why. Maybe not so much the why, but definitely who, what. But it was a very exciting, I think, movie. It was definitely different than some of their usual movies, so I quite enjoyed it a lot. So beyond the mystery itself, this movie, True Justice Family Ties, focuses on like three main themes, in my opinion. This is what I got from the movie. So if you did not get these same themes, let's talk about it in the comments. But I thought the themes were justice, friendship, and privilege. So with the theme of justice, I think there are two major questions that was asked about it, which is who deserves justice and how fair is our criminal legal system? So we see Casey's brother, which I'm not remembering his name at this moment, who is being wrongfully convicted, but because he has a past of bad behavior, stealing things, getting in trouble with the law, there's this idea that he doesn't deserve justice because of the things that he's done in the past. And given that we like to think that everyone deserves a second chance, I don't think that we can say that there's someone who's all bad, because we're not all bad, and we're not all good, and we're not all bad. Even the worst person that you can think of is not all bad. There's always some good to them. And so I think this idea that just because you have a past does not mean you don't deserve justice. The second part of the question, which is how fair is our criminal legal system, is true, because this is a great example of how people can be wrongfully convicted in our criminal legal system. When we think about the purpose of the Innocent Project, the whole purpose is to free people who have been wrongfully convicted. And so like if we got it wrong once, we're going to keep getting it wrong just because it's not necessarily a fair system. And I think one of the quotes that professor said was, when people enter the system, they do so with the best intention. They really want to make a difference, but at the end of the day, the justice system is made up of human beings. And I think that is the crux of the issue with our criminal legal system. We have humans who are not all good and not all bad, trying to do what's best in their eyes. And so in their eyes, there also is some level of bias. If I'm coming at this case with this person who has a criminal history, he definitely did it. You know, that's my bias going in. And so maybe I might not do the things that I need to do to solve this case to the best of my ability, because like all of the evidence is stacking up against this person. And so I think we see that theme of justice throughout this movie, again, not only with the name, but also just the pursuit of justice for the death of Davina. I think the second theme is really about friendship, right? We see Casey here trying to right the wrong of her brother's conviction, but she can only do it through the help of friends and a nemesis. A nemesis turned friend, I guess. And so I think the question that came up for me with friendship is, what would you do for your friends, right? And this idea of a chosen family. So Casey, we kind of hear it in the beginning that Casey lost her mother before she entered undergrad, and so Davina and her dad took her in under their wings and treated her like family. And then she's developed this friendship through the other two women who she's in law school with, who are there by her side when Casey is dealing with the trauma and the difficulties of having a brother on trial for murder. Not only did she lose her very close friend, but she also might potentially lose her brother because of the issue of her murder. And so I think we talk about friendship and how, you know, we need community to live in. And so we can't really do this life without community. And so being able to have that community with her as she's, you know, dealing with the case, you know, not only just like not even at the point of, you know, they're working through this case together, but like in the beginning, we see Casey with PJ and Sarah who are there for her. They go to the courthouse with her when her brother's being sentenced. They're there with her when he is being released. And so just being able to be there, being able to have a community support you through a difficult time is just so important. And we see that with this movie. Because I also think like the importance of community and having Sarah and PJ with her every step of the way, regardless of how they felt about the way they were handling the case, I think made Casey keep going. Because I feel like if I was in that situation and my brother was on trial and I didn't have anybody around me that believed in my cause and believed in the fact that my brother could potentially be innocent, and I was doing this alone, I don't know if I would have gone as far as Casey went. I don't think Casey would have gone as far as she would have gone as she went through to following up and figuring out who not only killed her friend, but getting her brother out of prison, if she didn't have her community supporting her along the way. But also just like providing the resources for her to solve the case together. Sarah being a part of the forensic team as her internship to help with identifying like the fingerprints and evidence and being able to tell the story that way, but also PJ on the other side being able to run the database to see any potentially connected people who have been committing crimes to this case. And then Eli, of course, along every step of the way with providing with stakeout buddy and just kind of being her undercover friend. And then Liam, of course, to being the all-out investigator with all his tricks in the bag. I think without these people with their resources, she would not have been able to get as far as she did. And the third theme for me is this sense of privilege. So with our criminal legal system, there is a sense of privilege that comes with it, right? This idea that with our criminal legal system, the more money you have, the more justice you get. The more money and resources that you have, the more you're able to defend yourself with the best resources available, whether that's the best defense attorney, or even just the idea of, you know, if you are wealthy, we see it time and time again. If you're wealthy, you tend to get away because you usually are connected to other people, and we can see that through the character of Kirk Teller. Like, he is highly connected, he is a very wealthy man, and so he was able to get away with a lot of things because of his privilege of that money and that class privilege. And then we see on the opposite side Casey's brother, who did not have the resources. He used a public defender who didn't even test all of the evidence available, and didn't get the fair shot that he deserved to see if he was truly innocent in this. And so I think that sense of privilege, that class privilege, really comes through, and we see that in our everyday. As someone who has whose background is in the criminal legal system, like, I see it every day. A lot of the people that are in our systems, whether that's prison, probation, jail, parole, it's likely because they don't have the money to. Like, the people with the money typically get off, even if it's a really serious crime, tend to get off because they have great lawyers who know the loopholes to get out of things and get community service or just probation. Versus someone who doesn't necessarily have the money to hire someone to hire the best of the best, they tend to get either they either plea bargain out, or they tend to get convicted for their crimes. As someone who enjoys a really good mystery, whether I'm reading it or whether I'm watching it, I have to say that I really enjoyed this movie more than I thought that I would. The premise of, and this idea of someone being wrongfully convicted, we don't often see that in murder mysteries on Hallmark. Let me correct that. We don't often see that in murder mysteries on Hallmark. And so having this movie to explore that theme really shines a light on what happens in our every day in our criminal legal system. And I really enjoyed having these types of being able to have these types of conversation about what does privilege look like in our criminal legal system, and what does justice look like, and who deserves it. And so I think having this type of episode or this movie that shines a light on wrongfully convicted, I think illuminates for everyone that anyone under the right circumstances can be wrongfully convicted of a crime. Wrong place, wrong time. That was the true theme, especially when we see the opening of the movie with him stealing the necklace from the dead woman. He's there at the wrong time, wrong place, wrong time, right? And so I'm not saying that he was right. I'm not saying he was right to steal that necklace from that dead woman. While I guess the mystery correct, like by the fourth episode, I knew that the wife had done it. The twist and turns with the second death of Kirk Teller completely threw me for a loop as to why she did it. Because I literally was like, now why would she kill her husband? Unless he's like moving on to somebody else. But like, I feel like that twist there with his death really like made me question how accurate I was about her actually being the killer. I also really love the pacing too, right? So like sometimes with these new movies that they make, they crawl to the murder, and it's just like, I get you're trying to lay the foundation of like the characters because this is a whole new show, but like we can get to that later. Can we get to the point? And so this pacing was great because it didn't feel like it was crawling in the beginning. It really felt like it's like, here we are, this dead woman, here we are to this court case, and now we're trying to figure out who, what, when, where, and why. And so I really enjoyed the pacing for a new movie. I also will say, as someone with a criminal legal background, it was hard to just like turn my brain off. When we talk about justice and the way that prison works and all of these things, I was just like, it was hard to turn my brain off, but I had to keep reminding myself, girl, this is a movie. A movie you're supposed to be enjoying. So outside of that, it was a pretty good movie. I would definitely watch this again. And if I was to give it a rating on the mystery scale of 1 to 5 stars, I would definitely give this a solid 4. 4 stars, because it was not bad. Like, I was really impressed. Like, it didn't feel forced. Like, the characters felt right. The setting, like the characters' backgrounds also felt right. Like, they're law students, and so like they're, you know, they're somewhat tied to the criminal legal system, so it's not like out of the blue like a caterer, right? So it's just like, girl, stay in your lane. So I enjoyed that this was actually that. It was easy to root for the characters too. Like, there wasn't one or many that I was just like, okay, now what are you doing? Like Aurora Teagarden. Like, Aurora Teagarden is a Karen, and I know this movie has nothing to do with her, but it makes it very hard to root for her. But these characters were a lot easier to root for, because I was like, I want to see who did this too, in case you in the right, but also Sarah was my girl. Sarah is me, I am Sarah, because like Sarah be asking the questions that need to be asked, and so I really enjoy like being able to like, yeah, that's me, I'm Sarah. So, should you watch this new mystery, True Justice Family Ties? Abso-freaking-lutely. I think it was a great addition to the Hallmark mystery lineup, but you know, that's just my take. Do not take my word for it. I highly encourage every one of you to go and watch it, and if you have watched it, drop in the comments below what your thoughts are, and if it was in line of what, are we like on the same page, or am I way off based on what you think? I just, you know, I'm nosy and I want to know. So thank you for joining me for this newly structured Hallmark Movies and Mysteries review. I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, you should like and subscribe, and I'll catch you at the next movie. Oh my god, what is her name? I can't think of her name right now. And this is the official synopsis. Why can't I say the word synopsis? And so with Justice, we see, I think the 2 questions. Oh my god, somebody's outside doing some kind of work. Casey's brother, I cannot remember his name right now. Casey's brother stealing.
Help me, I'm dying.